family and friends and Unity of Garden Park. So you know darn good and well, all of you, how hard it is for me not to hug. I mean, if there's an addiction, that's it for me, as well as a plate of nachos here and there. So just know that you're being hugged. So I'd love you to start today with some kind of virtual hug. I saw some of you doing this already. Squeeze it tight, squeeze it tight, squeeze it tight. Maybe a hand on your heart, a little pat on the face, something that would just make your tail wag. Like, oh, like imagine what God would say on your face. Like, oh, my perfect child, you're as I made you, divine, holy, perfect, and complete. And also, I see you're having some troubles here. I see your challenges. I know your challenges. I know your heart, God would say. And God would say, and I know that you're equipped for this. That you have within you, exactly what it takes to navigate these winds, to birth this, to midwife this change, this thing that's pulled the rug out from under, that's left us shocked, traumatized, disoriented, confused, wondering, uncertain. And it's the tallest question mark any of us have had in our lives, so to speak, for our whole lives. We've had question marks. What, when, who, how? And then this is a taller question mark ever than any of us have seen before. So thank you, Reverend Kathy, for your leadership, for your love, for the way, for your pastor's heart, honey, for the ways that you care and serve this community and so many. And for over decades of this now, it's no little thing to have the uncommon stamina that you have, the uncommon motivation to be this. And to all of you there on this leadership team that make this possible, that quickly shifted out into this virtual world, literally having to pull this out of our ears, so to speak. So we'll begin here. It was so important to me today to encourage us, as I'm practicing myself, to have peace more than just for an hour on Sunday, or have peace more often than when I meditate, or peace more often than when I pray and remember. But to begin to think about then, how are we going to have a peace in all the minutes of our life and all the moments of our life? And of course, that's unattainable, because as long as we have a pulse, we have bristles. As long as we've got a pulse, we've got attitude and opinion and hurts and upsets and all that. So we surrender to thinking this can be done all the time, or that it can be done in every situation. But we absolutely here today, the invitation is to activate and to invoke in us that I see and understand I cannot do it 100% of the time, but I'm absolutely going to go in that direction. I'm absolutely going to do something that will move me in that direction. So if I've got peace now when I meditate, then I'm going to have open eye meditation. And if I've got peace now when I pray, then I'm going to extend the ways I pray, how I pray for, pray with, pray to, and to pray from. So how to keep turning up the dial of our practices. So many of you have been students and true students for your whole lives, and in most cases, and certainly for decades, devoted to a spiritual awakening, a new understanding, and an overcoming of the more dense, lower regressive animalistic energies, and living above the line into this mind that is in and from the connection that solely wholly belongs to God. Solely holy is immune from any illusions of sin or notions that there's mistakes or that something shouldn't be happening. And the encouragement then is to access that higher room, that throne room that Eric Butterworth would say, to see it more rightly, to see it more rightly. So less prone to fall into circumstance, to situations, to the natural triggering that we have from the animalistic and the regressive kind of mind. So as we reflect today, I absolutely want to just know and absolutely acknowledge those all people who feel alone, isolated, who are grieving without their people, grieving that they can't be with their people, for frizzled parents who have run out of creative ideas 2 weeks ago or a month ago. And for those that don't know how the rent will be paid or where the money's going to come from groceries, for those that watched all the important dates that they'd set aside, their graduations, birthdays, weddings, dissertations, vacations, family reunions, and even what was considered non-essential medical treatment and procedures. The dates have come and gone, and that there is a natural then exhaustion from this, a despair, and psychology is of course writing about it and reporting about it, and that no one here is immune from that, not one of us. So then how to be with this differently, how to, even in this vortex of emotional energy and loss and grief and despair and wondering and doubt and confusion and whatever it is, then how to be with it differently. How to, even in that, say, okay, that I'm still committed and I will be one of the ones, and I believe that's part of our role here in Unity, to be the ones, we're the ones we're waiting for, to be the ones that can bring comfort, that can comfort the afflicted, that can bring a presence to intense situations, and that peace that you hold in your heart, the peace that I hold in my heart, is also causative. It's generative, quantum physics powerful, that then any area, any way, any time, any interaction, any situation that I grow my peace in, then I have contributed to the comfort of humanity, to the ease of the mental streams, to the ease of the fear. So we hold power, great power, every one of us individually, and then certainly collectively, to be contributors toward that, even in these times. And then it's also, that's one polarity of this. Another polarity is that some of us are in gratitude and praise even at the same times. And to think about, when I think about, I often say people had rather spend time with their pets than with people. It's because pets are more enlightened. If we're living regressively, we're not all that good a company. Pets have that midbrain, that mammalian brain. So the pets now get to have their people home with them. So now I'm pretty sure pets are praying for their people to go back to work. So it may be easier to be without their owners just so much. It could be that our life has slowed down enough, the pace and the velocity, the weight is slowed down enough that some of us are exploring something like just baking bread, or going back to the comfortable clothes and the freedom of comfortable clothes, shoes or no shoes. There's some creativity that's been brought forth. I'm sure you've seen it. Musical genius, theater genius, art genius, speaking genius, teaching genius. So an awakening here. So like the next greatest iterations of ourselves. Here now, being born here now. And we can maybe pause here for a minute and consider both polarities. The pain and the peace. There's pain and peace. And that we're moving up and down on a spectrum of that. We're moving up and down depending on what comes in, depending on how much we listen to, how much news we hear, how much triggered we are, how much fear arises. And then there's this potential for peace that's always, always, always there. And often out of sight, often not obvious that it's an option. Nevertheless, always an option. So my heartfelt desire today was for us to get some very practical, sensible, easy, free ways that we can grow in our capacities to get into presence, to access peace, to stay above the line in more ways and in more situations and more circumstances than ever before. So I want to offer some practices here. So begin to think about as we move into this portion, like, what have you already done that worked well? All of you're very wise, you're very intelligent, you absolutely have your own mechanisms for this. So how is it you restore yourself? How is it you already restore yourself? And I've had reports from the groups that I'm serving and from various psychology reports that the meditations that we used to be able to do aren't doing it now. Like, we may do our same meditation practice and not really get the shift that we're accustomed to. We're not able, it's in sometimes some cases not to be able to
more about it
through meditation that we're accustomed to having in our practices. So think about then, what are you doing that works well? And then consider just dialing it up just a notch. Just a notch. So it's like following the psychologist information to us. Increase the practice and be willing to change the practice up. So if you meditate 30 minutes, you might try 10. You might try 15. You might try open eye meditations, guided meditations, something that would say, I've got to enter a new portal for this because the doorways I've been going in may not serve me here while we're in this very intense state, this very intense emotional energy vortex. And then to begin to think about what am I doing that works well? What can I continue to do? And then let's try some new practices on today, this week, and this month with a devotion and a commitment to being change agents for this energy vortex, to be the ones that can say, we're going to bring some effect to that through our prayer, through our approaches, through our practicing of peace. So that peace is not a time of the day, peace is not a church service, peace is not a meditation, but peace more across the board. And there's a term for it called portable solitude, portable presence, portable peace. So instead of being dependent on getting peace in a certain place and a certain time with certain actions, then how to be growing my capacity for peace. So imagine now finding you some place in you that's actually afraid. Just acknowledge, I'm a little concerned about that. I'm concerned about that relationship. I'm concerned about her health. I'm concerned about my family getting sick and I couldn't go see them. So see if you can just locate a concern. And now simply close your eyes. And notice what shutting down the outside world can do. Take a deep breath. And notice with just a few seconds of literally physically closing the eyes, there's another possibility for you. A big deep breath. And then open your eyes and notice the difference. Notice the difference of a simple just closing my eyes for even a few seconds made. So in situations as they're getting intense, to be more mindful, to catch them as they're getting intense, not to wait till they're taken over, not to wait till the hurricane's here, but to get more aware of, wait, I'm getting a little bristly here. Wait a minute, like irritability is showing up. Wait a minute, I just had the thought that I'm going to smack her if I could reach her. So things like that. That's true to our own humanness. Like, I want to catch that a little quicker. And I'm going to just try this. So don't believe Martha Creek. Don't take this as factual. Just give it a fair test today, this week, when you start feeling this energy, feel this vortex of energy and emotional energy growing, see what you can do to dissipate it a little quicker, not to let it go as far. A second practice, some of you do this already, but at times like this, when we get so triggered and so much takes over in our mind, we actually forget what is sensible. We forget what actually works. So the second thing to try today, this week, and let's do it now, is to just feel your breath. Certain doctors, Norm Shealy comes to mind, Carolyn Mace refers to, and Eckhart Tolle. Be aware of your inner body, the inner body, of your breath, and of being breathed. So put your attention in the breath, on the breath. And notice what happens when you give the breath your attention. Then open your eyes and notice the shift in the energy. Just a little pause there, just shifting my focus away from them, away from him, away from her, away from what she should be doing, away from what he didn't do, and away from to let me just put my attention right and my focus right into the breath and of being breathed. So, power, potential, a new beginning. Then other things with the breath. So if it's more intense or if it's got a hold of you, it's not loosening as quickly or loosening it as well. In addition to that, you may try counting your breaths. So I was taught in one of the mystery schools that I attended and served for several years to count the breaths, something that would give the mind a job, give the mind something to do. So breathing in, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. So give the mind a job. It could be in breath toward the 1. Exhale toward the 1. So this is where mantras become helpful for some, something that'll give the mind a job. So think about that as a practice for the week. And then some things, I'm teaching a boundaries class. You're all welcome to join. You go to marthacreek.com and enroll there. And it's on Thursday mornings for the next 2 weeks at 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. You just pop on in there. And one of the things out of there that's pertinent to all of that's pertinent, because the better we are clear about what our limits are and better clear about what I will do and won't do, the less our peace is disturbed. So in general, limits is a catapult into more peace. Specifically for today, what I noted was to ask you in these times now, we're talking about when I'm starting to get bristly, when I'm starting to get afraid, when this big energy vortex is building again, instead of letting it build and build and build and take over, what can I do more at the onset of that? So I'm going to work to get it dissipated. I'm going to give it some space. I'm going to attend to it. What does it want? What does it need? And then to use these, close my eyes, focus on the breath, maybe count the breath. And then this practice, which is to silently ask yourself, what would ease this for you? Like asking for what you actually want. In this situation, be completely honest with yourself as you're able to. What is it that would ease this for me? What is it in this moment that I want? And you'll get in touch with what's some of the cause of it. I want them to understand me. I want them to know how afraid I am. I want their respect. I need them to listen. I want an apology. I want them to quit taking risk. You can get in touch with this litany, an infinite litany of wants, perceived wants, by the way, perceived wants, perceived needs, and an infinity ad infinitum list of shoulds. They should, they should, they should, they should, they should, they should, they shouldn't, they shouldn't, they shouldn't, they shouldn't. So now the encouragement is not to go into that sewer, into that BS, into that belief system, but to say, okay, if I was outside of that, if I was exercising now my capacity to observe that and not absorb it, what would that be like? To actually absorb is where we get more jacked up, anxious, anxious, anxious. So then how can I then observe that mind, those mental constructs, the wanting, the needing, the shoulding, the shouldn't? How can I get more observant about that and less subjected to it? So observe versus absorb. And then when you want peace more than you want suffering, then it's like I'm wanting them to listen to me. Hopeless. Okay, I can suffer some more, beat my head against a brick wall and wonder why it bleeds, or accept there's no indicator here that they can actually listen to me. There's no indicator here that they can actually hear me. So then it's not sensible for me to keep holding out for them to hear me or to listen to me when they're demonstrating that they don't have that capacity. And then let's try one more. So think about this week maybe where you got boogered up, like reactive. How dare them? I can't believe it. Oh my God. Did you hear that? Can you believe? So anywhere this week that you weren't proud of your response or your experience, and see if you can just drop back into that experience. We won't stay there. It doesn't last but just a minute, but just see how quick it came, just like that. You could even just think of a person that annoys you or irritates you, and it's like that quick. It's like, oh, tightness in the heart, guts twisted, solar plexus shuts down. So all sorts of things that's going on in the body, because the body is a feedback source to us. So the body is very valuable to give this kind of feedback if we use it, if we kind of attune to it to say, okay, then what am I going to do with this information? So think about then. So bring your attention now, close your eyes. You might try it open-eyed and closed-eyed. To bring your attention to your body right here and right now. And begin to scan your body from the head, from the top. And as you scan the body, purposefully relax it. Like if you're going into a meditative time, to relax the eyes, the nose, the ears, the jaw, the lips. And right on down to the shoulders. Shoulders may drop. Relaxing the lungs, breathing deeply. Relaxing the belly. So that was just a few seconds. So notice the effects of a few seconds of focused intent to relieve yourself, to shift out of that fixed mindset, out of the focus on whatever's causing that, and then a return to, okay, how can I bring some calm here now? How can I relax the body a bit so that I'm a contributor toward a more peaceful experience instead of throwing gas on the flame of the emotional vortex. That will become the emotional vortex becomes a physical vortex, becomes a mental vortex. So very, very powerful to do anything that has any power like you've experienced here this morning to short circuit some of that, to short circuit it. And then in very intense situations when these things can't work, there'll be times where you can't breathe. You don't even know if you have a breath or not, like you may be gasping for breath. When you get in a more intense situation and some of these more grassroots basic things here can't shift it, and don't be wise enough and daring enough and courageous enough to excuse yourself. I need to step away from this. I need to step out of this. And if you got someplace in your house to go there. If you haven't, go out and take a walk. If you are in a workplace, go into the bathroom, close the stall door, like use that throne for meditation to calm yourself down, to get some breath in here. So be willing and prepared to simply say, I've got to get out. I've got to step back out of this. I'm not thinking clearly. I cannot respond. I'm not coherent. And I need to step out of this. Or it could just be say, this was all the time I had for this. I've got to get back to my work priorities. Or I've got to get back to this project I'm committed to. Whatever's the truth and the reality. The encouragement here is not to stay in that, but to find a way absolutely to step out of it and to step back out of it and to excuse yourself and leave a situation where you see this is going to grow and grow and grow and get more likely going to suck me into its spin if I don't circuit break it in some way. And then we talked a little bit about a prayer or a mantra, a scripture, something that you can say. And instead of saying it once a week at church, it's like, I'm going to practice that this week, that I'm going to start a day with it. I'm going to set a timer and do it every hour. I'm going to do it breakfast, lunch, and dinner, that I'm going to dial up how much I'm using my prayer, mantra, scripture, reading, whatever it is, including some self-talk for us to be the one that will comfort us. So my greatest tip of the day is to be quick and intentional about being the first to offer grace to yourself. Be quick and intent on offering grace to yourself. So we're in a time now, you can read about it, where it's hard to focus. Have you noticed? It's harder to focus, that you don't have the same bandwidth you had before this. Like you could work 5 or 6 hours and really click it out. And now like after an hour, it's like, oh my God, where's a bed? I've got to lay down. Like this phenomenon is real. This phenomenon is actual. It will pass, of course. Every rainstorm runs out of rain. This too will pass, and we're still in this pressure cooker right now. So you won't be able to do what you've normally done. It's not business as usual. You won't have the same focus, the same bandwidth, as well as having these feelings that are just below the surface. So it's like we're in a pressurized situation of some sort, and it's looking for where to blow. It's going to come out any way that it can. So that's a reason to do this and to do it moment by moment, hour by hour, day by day, and certainly much more with much more frequency and consistency than any of us have ever done before. And then a general slowing down. The recommendation is some of you are already getting more sleep. You're just ashamed of it. You're guilty that you're sleeping that much. So it's like drop the guilt, drop the shame, and sleep some more. These psychologists are recommending it. Sleep some more. Like you need it. The brain needs time for healing, a time to reset, a time to get some stamina for it. So absolutely build that in there. And a general slowing down. Like you might slow your walk down, slow your pace down. So then it's thinking about a portable piece. Think about making it a portable Sabbath. A portable Sabbath. So while I'm washing dishes, I'm going to be in Sabbath. While I'm cleaning house, I'm going to be in a Sabbath energy. I'm taking time, Sabbath, a time for communion, a time for contemplation, for introspection, for reflection. I'm going to be doing my Sabbath practices while I'm at work. And I can tell you for my own life, I wouldn't be able to do what I do in the world. I wouldn't be able to serve in the ways that I serve if I had not found a way to rest while I work. To rest while I work. And my ability to do that, which is the basis of what I presented here today, makes then I'm less likely to get exhausted. And when I do, the restoration is much quicker. The renewal time is much, much quicker. So slowing down some and to take sensible, easy, sensible next steps. So I can't see through, I don't know anything about December. Just what about today and this week? Today and this week. So next month, I don't know. Don't know. And that's enough to make some of us just crawl out of our skin. That's such big planners and organizers versus no, it's like that we're not business as usual. So for today, this is how it's going. For this week, this is how we think it's going to go. And we can't be sure about that either. And much more intent to do that. And then the last thing I wrote here is to give yourself a smile. So I'd love you to do it here. Let a smile come from somewhere inside of you and just and I see your beautiful smiles. I see you there, Beth and Susan and Karen and Kathy and Tom. I see some of you like to just give yourself that smile. And to let that smile come from a place in you that's not yours either, like a divine smile. And then that smile begets a smile. That smile begets a smile. And wherever we go, even behind these masks, the energy of the smile is still conveyed. We can't see the smile, but if we're smiling, the energy of that smile will be conveyed. So even though they can't see the smile, they're going to feel and sense our smile. And it holds great, great power, and you just experienced it. And that's certainly a different way to be with this. Now, when this closes here in 15 or 20 minutes, I'll be in another Zoom room. So we'll put the link, Tom, or some of y'all, if you can, put the link to that Zoom room here in the chat so they have it. Or you can go to marthacreek.com and get the link off there if you want that. And we'll be looking at how we can apply this and get more on solid ground about this for the next hour from 12 to 1. So let me put these quotes forward. From John F. Kennedy. Peace is a daily, weekly, monthly process, gradually changing opinions and slowly eroding old barriers, quietly building new structures. So I say it as in our practices of peace bring us out of the inertia of the old archaic ways of being, and rebirth us into a new world view, a new world possibility, right where we are here and now. Eckhart Tolle, you find peace not by rearranging the circumstances of your life, but only through realizing who you are at the deepest level. So not changing the outer, but working on the inner plane, and giving up the notion that I can change the outer. And Dr. Wayne Dyer, peace is the result of retraining your mind to process life as it is, rather than how you think it should be. So it's a big order, huh? It's a big order. I know you're up to it. I know who you are. I know what you are. I know how you serve. You are here. You are here. You are here. Peace does not leave us. It's simply out of sight sometimes. So look for that and cultivate that peace. Portable peace, portable sanity, portable possibilities, portable divine presence. I love you. I bless you. I look forward to seeing you in person when we're on the other side of this. And I absolutely am here to support you any way that I can through anything. So marthacreek.com to contact me. Now, let's have a minute here to just take in what we've heard and meditate just a minute like we've done. I kind of built the meditation into these processes. So close your eyes as our first practice. Close your eyes. And notice what just shutting out from the outer world can do for you. And put your attention on your breath. And of being breathed. And start at the top of your head and let it all relax. Let the scalp relax, the forehead relax, the eyes, the eyelids, the nose, the ears, the jaw, the neck, the shoulders, the arms, the lungs. Let all your organs relax. Let the blood flow relax. And then the belly, the solar plexus, the pelvis, the thighs, the knees. It all can relax now. We give great thanks for practices. We know that practice makes progress. And we know that even imperfect progress is still progress. So big, deep breath. And I'd love you to make a commitment to yourself to give one or more of these practices this week a fair test. So then after today and after this church service, that you're actually going to apply some of this week, today. And smile when you can. And smile on purpose. Much, much love to you all.